All right, this is a little bit more about emotional eating, kind of part two. And I want to talk about maybe an analogy that you can use or that will help you when you think about why from birth we really have been emotional eaters, right? And because if you think about whether you breastfed your babies or you gave them a bottle, even if the daddy gave them a bottle, that whole idea behind skin to skin, now that they've been doing for the past, I guess, couple of decades, in hospitals anyway. But it's that whole idea of that bonding. So when you held that baby, or you were held as a child or a baby, you either nursed, but there was a loving bond at the time you were receiving nourishment. I mean, don't you just want to stop and hug yourself right now? Really? I put myself in that place of my mother holding me as a newborn infant, and she tried to breastfeed. I don't guess she could, but in that bottle, and then her love holding me as a newborn. What if you were involved in a stressful environment as a child, right? It still would have been some type of emotion connected to that bond of being fed. When you go to think about as you grew older, there was always a bond of love, whether it's, this is like in the sock hop days. I was thinking about my mother, but where they might all hang out, in the afternoon and have an ice cream. And, even back then, they're the thinner girls and the heavier girls, and there's the athletes and the girls that aren't athletic, right? But there's a bond around food through the years. Think about, your toddlers or maybe your grandchildren. You know how we want to feed them before the parents want to feed them? Years ago, we feed them steak at 2 months old. Oh my God, that's why we're tough. Oh my gosh. But think about that when you're so excited for the baby to have its first formula, or your first, for you to feed the baby maybe, or even as it grows, when you start to get giving it maybe baby food or maybe the first little Cheerios it eats, whatever. And there's that bond and that love for that moment that child eats, and we clap. And now, when they have their first birthday, we serve them their own cake and we clap. So there's this a celebratory, emotional bond to food. But there's also that bond that could have been in any type of environment that you went to food for nourishment because it made you happy, because it releases so many chemicals: serotonin, endorphins, dopamine, oxytocin, just like when you milk, from your milk, your breast milk, or the hormones that produce the letdown of milk. That feeling of overjoy, that is what we end up in our lifetime as compulsive overeaters, or mini binge eaters, or grazers, that end us up in morbid obesity. And that plays one role, but it didn't have to be anything negative. Now, there may be negative things all filtered in that, but we're talking surely about how we were taught from birth to love food, and that's wonderful. But to say that you love something that is killing you is not a healthy relationship. So if you can say that you love food and it enlightens your life, your time with friends, it's that emotion we get to share a good meal. But those, as we know, are weekly at best. It is the hourly feedings that are the grave of us. The celebratory things are once a month, every weekend, even if that's what you do with your husband. You've got to find another way to feed the emotions that you need instead of excess food at those events. Maybe it's anxiety that you're there. Maybe you're there, and maybe it is celebratory. But even then, if it doesn't fit your goals, you're only going to feel bad about it the next day, right? And that perpetual feeling bad every day perpetuates that is a conscious thing. You know you feel bad. Then guess what you want to do more of? Eat. But all the other little eats, all of the other reach for the food was also emotional eating because you're looking for comfort. The other day, I cleaned the house after the kids left, and I worked 8 hours in this house along with my job, along with what I do in well and here, and other things that I'd work on too. I cleaned the whole house, and I forgot one garbage can. And Wayne is a sweetheart, by the way, but I forgot one garbage can, and Wayne goes, "Oh my gosh," he goes, "let me get out this garbage." And I immediately went to the negative place of I cleaned the whole house, and he didn't say anything, but he mentioned the garbage. Well, before I was aware of this type of thing, I probably would have just gone and ate some more because I was eating all day long anyway. That's what I'm talking about. But why would I have went in that moment? I would have never noticed that. Looking back on it now, I see it. Looking back on it now, working through some of these things, because I said to him the other day in the car, I have to talk about this because I used to eat it. I'd never said those words in my life. I had never said that sentence in my life to anybody at 55 years old, having lost 130 pounds and coached a lot of people. But I was able to say out loud, I need to say this because otherwise I will eat it. And it makes me think of something I heard somebody say one time, and it was, you can face your stuff or you can stuff your face. Well, facing your stuff don't have to be some deep-rooted thing that throws you off and takes you into an emotional spiral. And if it does, we need to maybe delve deeper into that with the expert help outside of here, but outside of what I can offer you all. And that's okay too. That's okay too. We all can use a little bit of outside help too. I'm all for that. But at the same time, you've got to stop and think it's not negative. I'm conditioned this way. I'm conditioned this way. I want to constantly feel good. That's where addictive behavior comes from. Of course, we want to feel good. We want to feel worthy. We want to feel enough. And most of you that listen through this, some of you are going to deny that this is you. Some of you are sitting here right now maybe thinking, no, that's not me at all. And I don't, maybe it's not. I can only speak from my journey and my introspection, and for 2 years trying to look inside and say, what is it? How can we turn it off? And is it more than just habitual? Is it more than just chemical, like sugar addiction, cravings, that kind of stuff that they say, the cocaine effect, Where are the layers? And I can't tell you the next layer because I'm on a journey too. But this layer now of emotional eating for some of you that are well into the journey, some of you that are stalled, some of you that want to go further in 2022 than you've gone before. This is one avenue to go, the emotional eating avenue, because not one person, I'm convinced, unless they have some severe medical issue, not one person, Lisa Asbell is convinced, would be obese, aside from some real abnormal thing, if they ate the amount of food their body required. I believe I still eat too much. I eat wrong things. I was thinking not wrong things, but not always the best choices, but I don't think of them as wrong because I enjoy it. But I was thinking about the way that I eat, and it is 90% healthy, but it's light. It is heavier on those, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, but otherwise, a third of a plate, a third of Wayne's, not even a half of a half sometimes. a bite of bread, a bite of dessert, because I know I'm not hungry. And anything above that is, unless I'm celebrating, is negative. I'm either lonely, I'm sad, because I can sit with Wayne at dinner and not take in 1,000 calories and 2 cocktails. I can enjoy our conversation and nibble on whatever is put in front of me and have no guilt over it. That's how you know you're starting to tune into emotional eating. See, I've helped you tune into hunger. You know, we spent the first 18 months here tuning into hunger, understanding calories, understanding balance. This is not negative. This is a positive thing for you to walk away with. It is normal since birth that it felt good when you ate. But if it makes you feel bad after, it's an unhealthy relationship that stems from emotional eating. And 2022 is the year here, right here in these audios to get it going in the right direction. I'll see you on the next one. You're going to like it.